Right now on the Hadid Mercer Rug Cleaning Hotline, my ACC insider here on the Fan, it's Marcus Mook Washington. What's going on, Mook?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about yourself, my man?
Doing pretty well. So before we dive into the Virginia game, what's been your take on the ACC of the last few weeks? Kind of a little bit of a mix-up in the standings there. Clemson's still top, but they've now lost a game. Virginia's climbed up to second place. Right behind them, Pittsburgh. Miami lost a tough game the other night. They're the fourth team, 20th ranked in the country. And the Tar Heels, winners of 4 straight, are now the fifth-place team in the ACC.
It's just so many close games, and with the standings so bunched up, I mean, it could look very, very different. You had North Carolina win a game down the end against Syracuse, and other teams that have lost at the NC State got an overtime victory a couple weeks ago. These things can be so jumbled up. Wake could have won 2 games that they lost at the end, Pitt, and after they made the great comeback against UVA and then fell short. If you look at that, they're an 8-2 team in the ACC, and they're sitting in second place. I just think it makes for an exciting ending these last few weeks as these matchups form themselves. But the ACC has been fun to watch, almost from top to bottom. Top 10 teams have been great to watch, and those games are compelling, and they're coming down to the end. And you're going to look at someone's record, and you're going to see maybe a 2 or 3 or 4 game swing simply because they lost 3 games by a possession or less or by 4 or less. It's been a great season for the conference.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw a curveball at you real quick, though. Have you been watching ACC women's basketball? Because the ACC women might be even better. They've got 6 teams in the top 25, including the Virginia Tech Hokies, who are 12th overall, and they've got a monster matchup this Sunday against UVA, coming off of a close loss to Duke. Have you been following the Lady Hokies at all?
I have to admit to you, I have not been, but it sounds like to me that I need to.
Oh, yeah, you got to check out Elizabeth Kitley. She's been putting on a show. All right, let's break it down. Boston College at UVA. How do they avoid the upset in this matchup?
Well, they avoid doing what Virginia Tech did when they played BC earlier in the year, which is you got to put a team like this away early. And UVA, we saw some of them against Wake Forest. They jumped out to the big league. They gave the big league back. But a lot of that was because Clark got into foul trouble, and then instantly that game changed. But I don't see Virginia really, really struggling with BC because of the matchups. When you look at BC, they would really need for Quentin Post to have a big game. And his physical nature, I know, kind of bothered Armando Bacot when they played North Carolina. That's just not a style of play that's going to bother UVA. And plus, when you think about this Cavaliers lineup, they have 4 or 5 guys that each day could be their day, whether it's Clark, whether it's Beekman, whether it's Vanderplas. We saw it out of Franklin against Wake. And then Isaac McNeely, keep an eye on him. UVA, in the 5-game winning streak, McNeely has hit 12 or 20 from the three-point line. This freshman is really, really stepping up, makes Virginia even more dangerous. And, again, we talked about this before. The thing I really do like about the Cavaliers this season is offensively. They really can score. They can score quick. They can play at a pace more reminiscent of 2022, 2023. I think that helps them avoid a trip up here against BC.
Do you think that they have the talent on the roster to compare with the squad that won the national championship? They're a top 10 team right now this season. Armand Franklin can really score the ball. Reese Beekman's really athletic, but I don't know if they do compare really to – I mean, that squad that won the national championship had like 3 or 4 NBA players on it, right?
Yeah, but what I like about this team is how experienced they are, how long they've been in the system, and then when you can plug in a Vanderplas, who has played better and better as the season went on, and he's kind of found his footing. You know, the NCAA right now is really about experience and guard play. I think UVA has both of them. They can score enough points. I don't think we're going to worry about points. They get enough stops. The only type of team I really think that can give them a problem in the tournament is going to be a team that can really, really bludgeon them on the boards. Now, if you get them on the boards, it is going to be very tough for them to win. But when I look at this roster in today's NCAA, I have no doubt that they can make it to the final weekend. I think this could be a Final Four team.
Wow. So you mentioned the guard play. I'm interested how Kihei Clark compares to the rest of the ACC. Is averaging 11.6 points per game, 5.8 assists, 2.7 rebounds, 1.3 steals, and of course he's the one holdover from the national championship team. How does Kihei Clark rank amongst the rest of the guards in the ACC in your opinion?
Well, if you throw him just offensively, he's in the middle of the pack. The difference with him is what he does when he guards his position. His ability to be able to take a team out of its offense, his ability to shut down an opponent's point guard makes him valuable beyond the numbers. Again, I know he had a 20-point game about a week and a half ago. I mean, he's not going to do that every game. And, frankly, UVA doesn't need for him to do that every game. And some of those other teams and some of those other point guards in the ACC, they need to do that. UVA doesn't need for Clark to do that. So as far as value to his team, I think he's as valuable as the top 3, top 4 point guards in the ACC to their team.
Joined by Marcus Washington. Follow him on social media at Making the Cut with Mook. It's MTC with Mook. Also online at mtcwithmook.com. He's my ACC insider here on The Fan. You got a good one, 4 p.m. on ESPNU Saturday. That's number 3 versus number 4 with Miami traveling to face Pittsburgh. How do you break down that matchup?
Oh, I love Miami in this one. I know both teams in their last 5 have been 3-2. In Miami's case, I mean, a 2-point loss to Duke and a tough overtime loss to NC State. They've been playing really, really well. And when you have Nigel Pack, how he's been playing the last 3 games on top of having, the guys that they already have on that team, I really like the Canes to win this. As far as Pitt's going, I still don't know how to feel about this team. I know what their record says. I don't think they are what their record says. They could have very easily have lost to Wake. Appleby had a really good look down at the end. I like Miami. I sort of like Miami going away in this one.
So far from what you've seen in the ACC, who would be the player of the year? Is it a guy like Filipowski for the Blue Devils? Is it a guy like Armando Bacot? Is it a guy with UVA like Reese Beekman or Armand Franklin? Who would be the ACC player of the year? Also, you got the 2 guys in the backcourt with Miami. Who would you go with?
I know I'm going to throw you a curveball on this one. I would go with Hunter Tyson from Clemson. I think he's been the best player on what has been the best team in the ACC so far as record-wise. And if you take him off that Clemson team, unlike some of the other guys you named, if you took him off of that Clemson team, they are a middle-of-the-pack ACC team. I think he's so valuable to the Clemson Tigers, and with their record, it is really, really hard to ignore what he's done. And frankly, if I had a vote, he would get my vote right now.
Does that mean you expect Clemson to stay atop the standings in the ACC?
I think that Clemson will stay in the top 3. And I really do think that will be enough because, like I said, we're talking about value. His value to the Tigers. And again, I know I'm probably ticking off some of the other fan bases, whether it's someone for Isaiah Wong and those guys, Baycock down there in North Carolina. I understand that, but I really right now are leaning towards Tyson. And, yeah, I do think Clemson will end up staying in the top 3, and that might be enough to push him over the top.
All right, break down the game from Blacksburg, Virginia at the Castle Coliseum as the Syracuse Orangemen travel to face off against the Hokies. 2-7 in the ACC, but coming off of a massive victory over Duke where they shot 50% from behind the arc. In my opinion, they do that again, they're going to go on a bit of a win streak and definitely beat a team like Syracuse who plays a 2-3 zone.
Yeah, and I think when you play that sort of zone, it puts Grant Basile. He had 26 and 10 the first time around. It really puts them in play, puts them in a lot of comfortable positions, especially being in that free throw line, high post area, and being healthy this time around. They weren't healthy the first time around. I think helps Virginia Tech a lot. They have to be better defensively against Syracuse. In the first meeting, Syracuse shot 50% from 3, and Gerard had the big game. And they have 2 freshmen there that are get better with every game in Judah Mintz and Malik Brown. For those who don't know, Malik Brown, I know he went to Blue Ridge Academy. He's actually from Culpeper, Virginia. So he's kind of like in between where I am and where you are now. As those guys grow, Syracuse has become more and more dangerous. But I really do like Virginia Tech in this one to come back. I think they're going to make a little bit of run before the ACC tournament as they get their sea legs back with everyone back in there. And this Syracuse team will give their offense plenty of opportunities, just like they gave North Carolina's offense plenty of opportunities to score within that 15-foot range, and that will help open up the three-point line for Virginia Tech.
That's my guy, Marcus Mook Washington, high school basketball coach in the Northern Virginia area, and my ACC insider here on The Fan. Follow him on social media at MTC with Mook. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.